A civilization can invent faster phones every year and still stand on the rung it stood on a century ago. The ladder that actually ranks civilizations ignores technology completely. It measures one thing only: how much raw energy you can grab and bend to your will. By that ruler, every smartphone ever built adds almost nothing to humanity's score. Guess where humanity sits on a ladder whose first rung is an entire planet? Below the first rung, about 7/10 of the way up to it, and stuck there for decades. A Soviet astronomer drew this ladder in 1964, and he drew it by accident. He was chasing something else entirely, and the ruler fell out of the maths. Nikolai Kardashev spent 1963 staring at a radio source called CTA-102. The signal looked odd to him, so he floated an odd idea. Someone out there was broadcasting. He was wrong. That source was a quasar, a monstrous engine burning at the heart of a far galaxy. But the wrong idea forced him into a right question. If aliens really were broadcasting, how powerful could their transmitter possibly be? Guess what you need before you can answer that? You need to know how much energy a civilization can command in the first place. So he wrote down 3 sizes of energy, and those 3 sizes became the most famous ladder in science. Rung 1 means you have captured every scrap of energy your planet receives or holds. All the sunlight landing on it, all the wind, the heat under the crust, the fuel buried in rock. Sunlight alone arrives at Earth at roughly 170,000 terawatts. Humanity, running everything we own at once, uses about 20 terawatts. Guess what share of that free sunlight our whole species actually captures? Well under 1 part in 1,000. The rest lands, warms the ground, and leaves. A Rung 1 civilization loses nothing to the sky. It runs a planet the way an engine runs, with every drop of fuel accounted for. Rung 2 abandons the planet because a planet is a terrible place to collect starlight. Earth is a pinhead held up against a bonfire. Almost all the light sails past into empty space. Freeman Dyson worked out the fix in 1960 in a paper barely 2 pages long. Wrap the star, build a swarm of collectors around it, and catch the light before it escapes. Guess how much more energy that gets you than a whole planet? Roughly 2 billion times more. Earth intercepts about 1 part in 2 billion of the sun's output. Dyson added a detective's note. A swarm like that would glow in infrared where a bare star should be. Astronomers have been quietly hunting for those warm shells ever since. Rung 3 stops counting stars one at a time. A Rung 3 civilization runs on the output of an entire galaxy. The Milky Way holds somewhere between 100 billion and 400 billion stars. Nobody knows the count better because the faintest red dwarfs hide from every telescope we own. Guess how you would even spot a civilization that big? You would look for a galaxy gone strangely dim in visible light and strangely bright in heat. Nothing like that has ever been found. Every galaxy we aim a telescope at burns its light straight into the dark, wasted, uncollected. Kardashev's own numbers carried a flaw that sounds like a joke. By them, Earth had already made Rung 1. He set Rung 1 at 4 trillion watts, which was simply what Earth burned in 1964. Carl Sagan found that unsatisfying. A ladder with 3 rungs tells you almost nothing. So he rebuilt it as a smooth slope where any civilization gets a decimal score. Guess what happened to humanity's rank the moment he did it? We fell. Sagan put Rung 1 far higher than Kardashev had, at 10,000 trillion watts. Our 20 terawatts came out at 0.73, and that is the number people quote today. The latter never changed, the measuring did, and suddenly we were beginners again. Every picture of this ladder lies to you because it draws the rungs evenly spaced, 1, 2, 3, like floors in a building. The real gap between rung 1 and rung 2 is 10 billion times. Rung 2 to rung 3 is another 10 billion times, stacked on top of that. Guess how much more power we need just to finish the rung we are standing under? About 500 times what the entire human race produces right now. 500 times, and that only earns you the bottom rung of 3. The ladder is honest about one thing above all. It refuses to flatter you. Energy carries a property that makes it brutal as a measurement. You can never fake a watt. A watt has to come from somewhere. Burn something, split something, catch light, dam a river. You can spin your economy, your progress, your future. Physics keeps its own books. Compare that with the number the entire world actually steers by. Simon Kuznets built the national income accounts and handed them to Congress in 1934. Guess what he wrote inside the report itself? That the welfare of a nation can scarcely be inferred from a measure of its national income. 10 years later, the world adopted it anyway, and we have been steering by it ever since. Every company you have worked for runs on a Kardashev scale of its own choosing. Some pick a number that moves slowly and refuses to lie. Cash collected, customers who renew. Others pick a number that feels like progress and can be manufactured before lunch. Sign-ups, page views, hours logged, slides produced. Guess which kind of number always gets gamed? The easy one. Point a team at a measure they can fake, and faking it becomes the job. Energy could never lie to Kardashev. Pick the number that can never lie to you.